Hi everyone. I've been asked to jump onto this topic or debate or drama around these Chinese TikTokers who have gone viral claiming that they make Hermes bags and many other luxury designer goods in their own factories in China, and they are the exact same quality. In fact, they are the same thing. And so why not come to China and pay a fraction of the cost versus paying the retail brand price? And I have so many thoughts on this, and my thoughts for some reason have not been expressed or echoed throughout the social media community, the YouTube community. I've watched a few videos and no one is saying what's in my head. I know a few of you have asked me for a reaction video, so I thought I will just pour out my thoughts here. And my number one thought is that I'm actually really concerned. I'm really concerned by how easily people believe TikTok videos. Just because something goes viral does not mean that it's real. I think it's quite wild how information and misinformation can spread so quickly in this day and age, and it makes me concerned for my own kids and future generations. And it also really makes me concerned about the lack of critical thinking skills, lack of rational thinking. It seems to be very emotion based. It seems to be a lot of finger pointing and judgment and criticism, and actually a lot of superiority complex that I'm seeing in a lot of the comments to some of the other videos out there, and it's making me just sad. So let me just share that as the background to how I'm feeling. And of course, none of this really matters at the end of the day, whether you are into luxury goods or not. This is nonsense. These are first world, not even problems. This is something we contemplate and debate when we don't have real issues to think about. Because the fact that this has gone viral and people are talking about it for weeks now, I thought it would have died down by now. But anyway, since we are on a platform or channel that talks about luxury goods and this industry, I will tell you, I personally have not even for one split second thought, oh, could this be true? Could all of these bags be manufactured in China and then sent over to Europe just for the Made in France stamp, and the whole world is being scammed?
While TikTok may be flooded with claims, fashion insiders and regulations are side-eyeing the drama. US and EU laws around labeling aren't just fussy, they are practically forensic. Made in Italy and made in France require rigorous processes. From material sourcing to final assembly, everything has to happen on the home turf. Take Hermes, for example. The Rolls-Royce of handbags and footwear isn't flirting with Chinese outsourcing.
Let's break it down.
Visa-free entry into China to go shopping.
Convenient, right? Here's where things get weird. In my field, luxury leather goods, this story doesn't add up. Let's break it down. None of the brands these creators mention, Louis Vuitton, Prada, Chanel, especially Hermes, need to go to China for production. And here is why. Labels like Made in France and Made in Italy comes with strict restrictions. And brands at that level don't risk compromising that. It's just not worth it.
Those TikTokers are trying to save their business, an illegal counterfeit business, by the way. They are outside of the law. They are not regulated by law, so they could be doing God knows what, and they have been around for decades. I've been to China. You don't have to go to China to get a counterfeit Birkin. You can just go to Chinatown in New York City, where I live in Manhattan, and buy a cheap fake counterfeit there, and when the police drive by, you'll see these guys scoop up all their bags in a big blanket and roll them up and hide them until the sirens pass, because it's illegal. So if you need validation or justification to purchase illegal items and you're now using these Chinese TikTok videos to justify that, hey, you probably have your own reasons, and I'm not here to judge. But the finger pointing of people saying, well, I am so smart because I will spend only $2,000 on a counterfeit Birkin. Does that really make you clever? You're buying an illegal fake item, by the way. If you travel through the airports and you are caught with it, they will confiscate it and you will be penalized. Me personally, I don't want an illegal counterfeit item. I don't care how much they claim it's the exact same quality. These bags are not made in China. The counterfeits, yes. And they've gotten really good that they can be very close to the real thing, but they're not, okay? Counterfeits are sold in mass. If you want an Hermes Birkin, you are getting it from someone who has been trained for years. And then you've got people saying, prove it to me. Show me where your workshops are. Show me inside your factories. And Hermes, for example, has been doing this for years. They have offered many tours and interviews, and there's even a 60 Minutes documentary where the CEO of Hermes, Dumas, comes out and shows how to do a saddle stitch because he learned when he was a young boy. And there's a lot of really cool, interesting detail in these videos that are available to the public if you just do a little bit of research. And you can really respect and honor the craftsmanship and the history and all of the training that goes into making these Hermes bags. Now, I can't speak for all of the luxury brands, but I feel like even if there is proof, such as video clips like these, some people are just not going to be satisfied. They want to believe that the bags made in China are just the same. Everyone keeps saying these bags that are made in China are the exact same quality, the exact same thing, and you can save thousands just going to China and buying them. Why is it then that the luxury industry is driven largely by Chinese consumers? Do you know how many Chinese consumers there are spending billions in the luxury industry? And you're telling me they could just go down the street and knock on these Chinese manufacturer doors and be like, I'll take one of those for $1,500, please. Really? But why aren't they doing that if it's the exact same quality? Because it's not. And even they know it. The citizens of China know it because they know it's illegal and they know it's not legit and they know it's not the same thing. And then there are some people saying, you know what, I knew it all along. Everything is made in China and so they're all the same bags. Really? So you're saying that these TikTokers are actually employed or contracted with brands like Hermes and they have no non-disclosure agreement, they have no legal contract, they have no non-competes, they are free to just come out onto the internet and say, hey, we manufacture for Hermes and now we'll just cut out our client, our multi-billion-dollar client or trillion-dollar client, we'll say goodbye to all that money and we'll sell direct to you. Does that make sense? And there are so many people leaving comments on other videos saying that anyone who purchased designer goods is an idiot. And it makes me wonder, if you have no interest in designer goods and you think lowly of people who spend their money on designer goods, why are you trolling the internet, spending your time looking for these videos, clicking on them, watching them, taking the time to comment on them? Envy and comparison is an ugly thing. And if there was not even an ounce of envy in these people who are leaving these comments, I think it would be more natural to be like, oh, that's crazy. That's wild. That sucks. Like, is that true? This whole thing is a scam. All these people got scammed thinking that their goods were made in France when they were actually made in China and then rerouted. I mean, that's illegal. That's wrong. They should be under investigation. That would be a normal response, not, ha, 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 you wasted your money. That's odd to me, because if I were to flip it, like, I just can't imagine myself if my friend tells me they bought an expensive brand name car, let's say. I have no interest in cars. And then they find out they got scammed, and there's this whole scandal about these cars that were supposed to be made in Germany, let's say, and they were actually made in, I don't know, some third world country that has no experience in car manufacturing. I would be like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. Like, what are they going to do about that? I wouldn't be like, haha, you're a moron for spending all that money. How could you spend $100K on a car? Who does that? So it's revealing lack of critical thinking skills. It's revealing herd mentality of just like viral video, I will blindly follow. And it's revealing the inner truth of mean-spiritedness, of ugliness, of finger pointing and comparison and superiority. And that makes me sad. Here's another reason why I don't participate in the counterfeit market. Other people have gotten scammed, purchasing items that they thought were authentic on the secondary market, only to find out that it's counterfeit. When a brand or company makes items that are inspired by popular designer items, like something that looks like a Birkin, for example, similar but not 100%, their variation, their version of the Birkin, not identical, not meant to be complete copy, not breaking laws, IP, copyright, no trademark, no logos, no nothing like that. But it's similar, like, it's got the rectangular silhouette, top handle, and maybe some hardware, like something similar. That I'm okay with, because that might be providing something similar to the masses who don't want or care to go and buy the Hermes version, but they like the look and they can save some money getting something very similar, but it won't have the same history and the craftsmanship and blah, blah, blah. But who cares, right? So it gives customers options, and I'm all for options, legal options. But when you make counterfeits, you are trying to trick people into thinking that it's the same exact thing as the real one. And when you do that, people get scammed, they lose their money. I have had counterfeiters take photos from my Instagram account. I've had to report them because people will report them to me and be like, hey, this is your photo, and they have it on their site. And I would look at it and be like, that is literally a picture I took in my home of one of my bags. And they post it as the bag they made in their factory. So when you're dealing with illegal counterfeiters, you're dealing with liars. That's what they do for a business. They lie. Let's be real. They take other photos. They say that's what they made. They say this is exactly what you're going to get. You don't know what you're going to get. Now, if you don't own the real thing, how will you know? I think it's really interesting when people unbox counterfeit designer bags. I've watched a few of those, and you're like, oh my gosh, it looks exactly like the real thing. It feels like the real. How do you know that if you don't have the real thing? And then I've had people who are more honest, and they're like, oh my gosh, it looks real. It smells terrible. What is this smell? Well, it's coming from a mass-produced factory. It's coming plastic wrapped. It's not the same experience. It's not the same quality, okay? And I'm not saying one is better than the other. I'm saying one is legal and one is illegal. And so if there are these counterfeits circulating in the market, that means there are people getting scammed. People are buying these on the secondary market thinking they're real and losing money. And I am not there to support that. Also, fraudulent returns has gone up exponentially over the last few years. There has been a study on this. So what that means is people are buying the real thing. Let's say they order like a Prada bag. They walk into a Prada store, they buy a Prada bag. They switch it for a counterfeit, and then they return it and get their money back. And somewhere down the line, maybe too late, they discover this is a fake. Sometimes they don't discover, and then another customer buys that fake, only to realize later that it turns out to be a counterfeit. Why would I want to participate in any of that? I think these TikTokers are genius. They're using a platform that is known to have videos, nonsense videos, go viral. It's really, really clever timing with the tariffs and beautiful marketing by them to try to save their illegitimate businesses. And so I don't really blame them. It's a survival tactic. They need to continue making fakes and selling them to someone. I am more ashamed by the reaction of my peers, I suppose, who is having a field day with these videos and saying, see, now I'm going to go to China and buy myself 10 fake bags for the price of one. Really? Like I said, I've been to China, and I would highly recommend you check out their teas. They make amazing tea if you're a tea drinker. Check out their pearls. They have gorgeous, high-quality pearls. I mean, they're porcelain. But I would recommend, not that you asked, that you stay away from the fake bags littering the back dark rooms of factories that are hiding where you can't bring in your camera. You can't ask any questions. You just hand over the money and you get a black plastic bag with your fake Birkin inside it. I think there's so much more to China to be enjoyed and explored and appreciated that it's just sad to think people would say they want to go to China to do that. Now, I feel like I have so much more to say, but I don't really want to spend too much energy on this topic, and I don't want this video to get too long. And I've always said this right here, this Birkin, it's just a bag. It's just another bag. There's really no reason to get this emotionally charged up over some random guy on TikTok talking about how he makes the Hermes bags themselves and they're the same quality. Just watch it and chuckle and move along with your life, whether you care about designer goods or not. Look at the big picture. This is nothing. This is absolutely nothing. Some people left comments on other videos saying this is going to bring down the entire luxury designer industry. Hermes is coming down. Chanel, Louis Vuitton, they're all just going to go bankrupt. Are you kidding me? That may happen one day, but not because of a TikTok video with fake news. No, no. Luxury brands have work to do. And in terms of pricing versus quality, there seems to be a market correction that needs to happen. I've been talking about that for a few years now. And also more transparency around how they do business. Like the Dior investigation, I'm really pleased to see that they're taking it so seriously in Milan and they're dragging the brand into the courts over a subcontractor, like I said, not even their own factories. So I love that. I think we need more of that, and we have to hold these big brands accountable for how they do business, how they conduct business, how they treat their employees. Hermes has a history of treating their employees really well. That's why they're usually there for many, many years. They get very fair wages. They get nice bonuses. Whenever the company exceeds expectations, exceeds profits, they will pass that on to the employees in the way of bonuses. I heard this direct from a sales associate's mouth who I was talking with a few years ago. He told me. And it's been written up in the news many, many, many times about how Hermes does their business. Are they perfect? Probably not. No, not at all. Do people get annoyed by the way they conduct their business and how they make people wait for certain items? Sure, but who cares if you have to wait for a bag? It's not life or death. These are craftsmen, artisans who want to take their time and they want to maintain their quality. And I think that's actually a good thing instead of rushing and coming up with bad quality defect items like some of the other brands have been doing over the last few years, because they've turned into somewhat of like a fast fashion machine. Yeah, I do think that some luxury brands have become more like fast fashion. So anyway, I am going off on tangents now, so I will wrap it up. Perhaps this is going to be a controversial video. We'll see when I upload it. I have people in my life, in my personal life, who purchase counterfeit bags. Like I said, I'm not for it. Will I put them down for it? No. They also don't put me down for buying from the brands. If you are getting a great deal of joy and excitement out of putting other people down and out of finger pointing and criticizing and making yourself feel better and justifying your choices, I think you have some deep inner work to do. I really think you should maybe invest the time to look at what's happening inside of you that you get so happy trying to make other people on the internet, strangers, feel bad about their choices. So here I am sharing my thoughts. Again, if these counterfeiters were actually the real thing and they're the exact same thing as all the brands, why are the Chinese people themselves who live there going to Paris to buy the real thing? Make it make sense for me, guys. All right, if you enjoyed this video in any way, if you agree, disagree, just let me know in the comments down below. I'm open for debate. Even if you completely disagree, I will not be offended. I'm just here to share my thoughts because many of you asked me to. All right, I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.